if you can get out of this, you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so doors began to open, and I walked through them, and I had no idea what I was doing. If I handed you a blank sheet of paper and I promised you that everything that you wanted was going to happen, what would you write? And the 99% of the time I get, I don't know.
So Janelle Compton, welcome to the podcast. I am very, very appreciative of you being here. And in total transparency, you said that you've been in business for 1 million years. So I got to learn some stuff from you.
Okay.
So
I think we're going to learn from each other.
I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to take some mental notes.
Okay.
Hopefully the brain fog doesn't kick in. But anyway. So if anybody were trying to find out about Janelle Compton and they looked at all of your profiles, they would see a booked and busy woman.
Yes,
You've got a lot going on right now. So tell us a little bit about what makes up the business world for you.
So I am a real estate broker, team lead, and a coach. I teach agents how to get into production. But more importantly, I am an educator of business skills. So I teach transferable business skills to people, teaching them how to go out and build a business and a foundation. So I'm real big on models and systems.
I love that. And, you know, we were talking before, well, we were rolling, but before when we were talking, I got an educator vibe from you. And you were just like, well, I do teach, you know, it's just not to kids. And a lot of conversations that I have all the time are people that are like me that were in education forever, but sometimes there's an idea of, I don't think I can make a leap and do anything but teach. And so I'm like, but in this space, there's other adults, there's other segments of the population that need what you have. So, I mean, I think about, you know, even just us talking here right now, I'm going to, you know, take all these notes and I'm going to talk to you offline later because I got some things that I want to learn. But you don't just wake up one day and decide I'm going to be this boss chick that's doing her own thing. You know, what was the journey like to get to this point?
To be honest, I lived life real early. So I went from high school, college, married, kid, 2 kids. I'm 22. I have 2 children. And I lived the majority of that 20-year decade, my 20s, in the shadow of my ex-husband. So I didn't have life figured out.
You're not really grown up by that time either.
No, I just moved with the program. Luckily, my mom and I watched my mom and my grandmother do things, and I just did things what I knew to do. And what forced me into being who I am today was because I didn't like who that girl was.
Okay.
I didn't like that girl. I didn't like living in that shadow. I didn't like the lifestyle. I didn't like the mistreating. I knew something had to be better. And I remember telling myself in my late 20s, like, before I did this, I smiled every day. As a kid, you don't know what you don't have, but the atmosphere is everything. Your environment is everything. And I just pursued a life where I could smile every day again. I chased that. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I chased the running around with my t-shirt and my panties on at home with my mom and my sisters. And we're just doing whatever it is that we want to do. And it didn't have to have to be big. It didn't have to be programs. It was just, hey, you want to play Crazy 8? Or you want to watch some TV, or you want to dance? And we like Michael Jackson. And my mom was super creative. So she would make us a glove and just crazy things. But life got so different when I became grown. And I was like, maybe I didn't give myself enough choices. Maybe I had a bunch of maybes. And I sought out to say, you know what? I'm going to answer every maybe. I'm going to go down every road, and I'm going to figure this thing out. And I wanted to know what naturally attracted people to me. And I realized that I had a voice that had been solid. So when I became 26 or 27, I started real estate because it gave me an escape from my life.
Okay.
And when I got outside of those doors, I was powerful. People trusted me. People believed in what I said. They listened to me. And when I came back home, it was different. Then people started to ask me questions, and I realized that teaching was just a technique because I was answering questions about stuff that I just really kind of studied 5 minutes before you asked me, and I'm giving it to you, right?
That's something. That's a point to amplify.
And so the more people were attracted to me, the more I realized who I really was. And then I got divorced at 38.
That was okay. I'm picturing two different worlds that eventually they never coexisted. They kind of collided, and you had to make a choice between this is who I was, this is what was suitable for one person, one particular type of life. And then you decided, okay, I think I'm going to make a choice. You chose the fear, you chose the scary, the unknown, but it was in search of joy.
It was. And what I realized is that that's who I am. I have to have a project. I have to have something to reach for. I have to have something to search for. But during that journey, I tell people, like, it took me 10 years to get out of that hole, to figure that thing out.
That's not the part we see on the Instagram stories and the quick little snapshots or whatever. We see the finished product.
Yes.
But it took you, I mean, what was going on during that transformation for you?
During that 10 years, it was a lot of denial. It was a lot of confusion, right? Even though I felt the power and I felt the karate and I was like, yes, Janelle, you can do this. I still had those voices in my head that were programmed from long before it saying, no, you can't. So now you're denying, is it really real? And can I really do this? And people won't be able to tell now, but I was a woman who never paid a bill. I had to learn how to be grown at 38. So it was a journey. And I kept saying, you know what, if you can do this though, if you can get out of this, you can do anything. And so doors began to open and I walked through them and I had no idea what I was doing. But I just moved. And I tell my kids all the time, put one foot in front of the other and just move, because you don't know what's on the other side of that door. And I don't want to live in regret not knowing. And I took my choice away from me at 21, at 20 years old, and I'll never do that again. So that's how I got here.
I'm thinking, the journey itself, and when you're in it, like you said, it feels like a hole. You feel like all I can do is just take that next step just to survive. And then you get there and you're like, okay, I can stand up and I can breathe. And you get to the next step. And then there's another scary choice. And before you know, you look back and you don't recognize that person of who you were. You evolve to a place where everything looks and smells and feels different on the other side. You know what that initial area was, but then you come here and there's a whole different way to look at things. So, I mean, to go from being 38 years old and you're learning how to pay a bill, you're learning how to be independent, you made another leap even from that person for today. So, I mean, give us whatever that golden elixir is that we all need to just take a sip of, because I think we all want to eventually find that powerful moment where we're just like, okay, here I am, here I stand. But it's not as easy.
It's not. But I have, in my entrepreneurial journey, my back is always against the wall. And I know people don't tell you to choose that road. But when your back is against the wall, you don't have nothing else to do but look up.
Right.
And so I always added an and to myself. At 38, I realized that I wasn't just a mother. I was a powerful woman and a mother. I was a real estate agent and a great educator. I always added an and so that I wasn't defined anymore. So once I broke out the box, I will not get boxed back in. And so I spend that concentration. That's this a strategy. It's a strategy. I make sure I'm not boxed in. And it's a daily journey, but you wake up on purpose with a purpose. And that's what I do. That's the elixir. I wake up and I know what it is that I want to do. You don't always know how, you don't always know when. In this season I'm in right now, I'm learning trust, patience. Because I'm so used to getting it and getting it and getting it and doing it. And God is telling me right now, wait. So I'm in that recovery, in that patience, in that trust. Because I don't see it anymore like I used to. I can see, oh yeah, I can see it just like that. The dreams were more vivid. But when you're going through menopause and you're going through changes and the world is going through changes, the visions are kind of cloudy. And I realized that it wasn't something wrong with me. It was that it just wasn't ready. So I'm in my patience season right
now. And sometimes that's a hard lesson to have to learn. And you have to learn it over and over again, because we see, and this is me, this is something that I have to also keep telling myself, that when you put yourself out there and you get a no, or you get a closed door, it's so easy to internalize that and say, oh, I failed, or I didn't make it, or I didn't get it, whatever that it is, instead of reframing your view and say, no, that was shut down because it wasn't yours. This is making whatever this big, broad journey, it's narrowing the field so you get clearer on where it is you're supposed to be and whatever your purpose is meant to be. So I'm learning that lesson as well, because there's been a few no's. There's been a few, I would say, failures. I won't say where I'm going home and I'm, crying in the closet, but just where you're expecting, things to happen the way you imagine they're going to be.
Yeah.
And that's not at all the path that has been chosen for you.
Yeah. And I stopped, people say, trust the vision. I trust the process, not necessarily the vision, because the way I see it. So I learned these things. We call them bold laws, but I didn't know at the time. They were just affirmations. And so I'm real big on change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So it's not the end. It's just a pivot. It's just an adjustment. It's just a shift. So if I wanted to, I had the whole idea that I would be on big platforms speaking to agents all across the KW platform. And that didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. But the pivot was God gave me my own platform. And so the journey was, those were not the people I needed you to reach. And those were not the people I needed you to help. So change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So it wasn't that the journey wasn't what I was supposed to do. It's just that wasn't the platform for it. But when you go out and you create something, you stick to it. And that's one of the biggest mistakes we make as people, but especially as entrepreneurs. We don't pivot. We don't pivot, and we don't pivot fast enough, because we have stuck in our mind that that's the way it has to happen. And with entrepreneurship, it's just like slime. You can create whatever it is that you want to. There's no certain shape to it. So when you let that go, it's like, okay, I'm showing up for entrepreneurship today. What is it going to give me?
And I want you to talk more about that, because I'm very new to this world, and already I'm feeling all the possibilities. So I don't know where I'm going to land. I'm a year in. I don't know what 5 years from now is going to look like. I don't know what 10 years from now is going to look like, but I feel the growth, and the potential is limitless, where if I stayed in, I don't know, whatever the role is going to be, if I stayed in education, if I stayed a particular, path, there was eventually going to be somewhere where I was going to reach that ceiling. And so, going out on your own, I think about other people midlife, and you probably talk to these types of people all the time, where you feel like I've been loyal to whatever this particular journey is for 20 years, for 30 years, or whatever. This is just who I'm going to be. This is just what I'm going to get. This is all I'm going to have. I mean, what is that conversation like when you come across somebody very much like me from a year ago, where I'm just like, I feel like I want to do something, but I'm scared. There's so many things that could go wrong. I mean, what do you do to pull that person out of it?
So there's so many things that could go right. And so I sit across from men and women every day, and I usually have a box of tissue, because by the time we finish,
they chop onions.
Yes. And I'm like, listen, how about we build a life on purpose? So we're going to live a life by design. And we sit down and we have a conversation, and we stop. Usually we get stuck right here. Tell me what you want. do you realize that 90% of the people cannot tell me what they want because they exist? They don't live. They have always had whatever was put in front of them.
Yeah.
So I say, well, no, if I handed you a blank sheet of paper and I promised you that everything that you wanted was going to be on this sheet, that you put on the sheet of paper was going to happen, what would you write? And the 99% of the time I get, I don't know, because we are not trained to think.
Yeah.
We're trained to react. So you get up, you go to work, whatever happens at work, you're like, okay, I got a job. But I'm going to give you the freedom today. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to give it to you and I'm going to show you exactly how to have it.
Yeah.
And we can make it a 1 to 3 year plan, or we can put in action steps where you can have it when you want to have it. But we're going to live on purpose if we don't do anything else. So you want to lose weight. What does losing weight look like? Because everyone says, oh, I want to look like Oprah, now, right? So Oprah's journey wasn't just taking a shot once.
Right.
So when you want to lose weight, then let's talk about that. What are you willing to do that? So by the time we break this 135, I call it a 135, we have one main goal. We have 3 strong strategies that we're going to use to get there. And then we have 5 daily activities to get there. So now it's chunked down to where it's feasible and you see that you can do it. And then you stop existing, because you'll realize the things that you want don't take millions. If you want a home for your family, you want to travel once a week, you want to travel once a month, but what does that look like? I want to spend $10,000 a year traveling. Okay, great. What can we do? What can we sell? Who can we connect ourselves to? What type of products do we need to have in order to do that? And you'll realize if you just make $600 a day, you'll be a millionaire.
Okay, I want to go back. You got my attention. I mean, I'm listening. I wish I had a piece of paper in front of me, but I want to go back to that 135 concept. So let's just say that, take it into it. I'm thinking of with real estate and people that want to do some type of investing, and I'm probably going to butcher all of the language because it's not my world. But say that I'm coming to you and I'm just like, okay, Janelle, I know that I've got my grandma's property that needs some love, blah, blah, but it's in a neighborhood that is going through some changes. Like we say, there's no such thing as the hood anymore because the hood is now becoming prime property where everybody wants to come in and rebuild or whatever it's going to be. So I've got a property and I know that I can do something with this, but I can't. I'm scared. I don't know, and then how would you apply that 135 principle to me where I say I want this thing, I want to do this investing, but I'm limiting myself right out the gate because of all the things I say I can't do.
So what is the, when you say you want to invest, but what's the ultimate goal? Do you want a check every month? Do you want a lump sum check? What would be the ultimate goal when you decided to say, "Oh, I'm going to be an investor"? What was the end game? Did you want extra money all the time, or did you just want extra money, a lump sum, because there's some other things that you want to do? What would that mean, right? So we would start there.
Okay.
Now let's say you tell me, well, I really want to buy a new car, but I can't afford to buy a new car right now. Okay, well, great. How much would the car you want to be? That you would want? Let's just say the car costs you $800 a month. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to always live to tie an asset to a liability. So we would not sell that house. Okay. What we would do is we would get a hard money loan, we would remodel it, and we would put it on the market. And the money that you make from the money in between the mortgage that you pay and the money that's left over, that's the amount of money you can spend on a car. Okay. So you will always have your car note paid, and you didn't have to pay it out of your earned income. You tie a liability to an asset. Now, how many liabilities do you want? Because depending on how many liabilities you want, how many assets I'm going to help you get. But we're not going to sell that asset. Now, if you told me I got a terminal, God forbid, I got a terminal disease, or I got a kid I want to send to college, or I want to start a business, that means you need lump sum. So now we're going to take it, we're going to remodel it, and we're going to sell it. And I have a bunch of lenders that can get you this without you having any money, without you having any experience. We're just going to leverage some stuff that you already have. Right. We're going to pull the equity out of here, and I can pull this equity out. I can pull out 80% of this equity without even checking your credit. without you having any experience, you're just going to cost you about 2 points, which is 1% of however much it's worth, and $1,000 fee. But the whatever is in between there, we can pull it out and we can decide to do what we want to do with the house later. Now you have instant income in about 2 days.
Okay, so it's a math problem.
It's a math problem and it's a strategy. So that's the one. So now the one thing is we want the money now or we want the money later. Now we have 3 things that we have to do. So what do I need you to do every day? I need you to go look for more. I need you to write these things down. I need you to apply for this mortgage. And I'll put it on a piece of paper and you leave here empowered.
I love that. I want to just throw some more things at you. Like, okay, I also have a pair of shoes that I need to get.
So we go out and find more assets. And usually real estate is the only asset that you can apply it to besides Bitcoin or something that's growing at a high power rate that you could use to do that. So what we do is we work overtime. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
because that's your ceiling.
Yes.
Right? So real estate removes the ceiling. So if I go get a multifamily property, right? I could buy one multifamily property that's 4 doors, that's 4 times 500. Now $2,000 to play with, and that's all the liabilities I can have.
Okay. So I mean, is this who are you talking to with these types of conversations? Is it kind of like the whole spectrum? Is there a particular type of person that's coming into this investment game right now that there's some commonalities between what you're seeing?
To people who, most of them are real estate agents or more people who have retired. I'm really talking to a lot of retired communities because people are like, what do I do now? I don't want to go back to work, but I need something to do. And I need a little bit more money because retirement today looks nothing like when my grandfather retired. Like I was
with a pension.
Right? I had no idea that teachers don't get their pensions anymore. So my grandmother just passed away on Mother's Day. And my grandfather passed away 11 years ago.
Okay.
And before he passed away, he was like, you don't ever have to worry about your grandmother. She's going to be okay. My grandmother collected $55,000 to do whatever she wanted to do. His pension carried to the day she passed away. So she made $55,000 a year to lay in the bed.
Wow. And that is not what we have anymore.
And my friends are like, I got to work 40 more years, like 40 more years. She was like, it's got to equal like 80 and they don't have pensions. You got like your 403B or something like that. I was like, oh, that's crazy. You need some real estate. Yes. See, if you own 20, if I could show you how to buy 25 rental properties. Now, no, is it going to make you immediate money? No. But if you worked at the school for 20 years and you held these properties for 20 years and didn't do any extra work, at the end of the 20 years, you would probably have an average of $5,000 a month in income from each property, and they had paid off by somebody else.
Just to exist.
That's gonna beat your 401k every day because it goes with inflation. So if 401k fights against inflation, the money you're saving in your 401k right now will not suffice for you 20 years from now.
No,
but real estate will.
Because you said real estate is extinct.
Yeah, and it goes with inflation. So when inflation goes up, so does rent.
I love that.
So does value.
We got to live somewhere.
We got to
live somewhere. Everybody's got to live somewhere.
Everyone has to live somewhere. So if you took the money that you were putting in your 401k and just put down 10% on a rental property, no, you're not going to make a lot of money. You'll make $200 to $500, but someone just paid for your future. Because you're going to rent it out month after month after month. They're going to pay it off in 15 years. And now all of that rent that you were collecting with inflation is going to come to you.
So when you do these conversations with people, whether it's other people in the real estate business or if it's just Joe Smo like myself, I'm just coming in trying to learn and figure out what my wealth generating options are people just saying, yes, sign me up, I'm going to do it? Or is there a little bit of life coaching that has to go into that to have that mindset shift?
It's a lot of life coaching, and that's where those the beginning conversations with the 135 is, because I tell people all the time, I can teach you anything you want, but you got to get out of your own way. And so it's one thing I can teach, and that's motivation and belief. Two things. I can't teach that. So until we get outside of our head of all of the things, because when I'm talking, you're thinking limitedly, right in your head, without saying it or not. You're thinking about all the reasons what she's saying is not true. Right? So after I sit with you and we debunk every myth that you have in your head, most likely, even within 50% of the time, I get performance out of people.
Wow. So we are responsible a lot of times for holding ourselves back. Yeah. And to unlock that prison of our minds is the first step. That is the internal work that I don't think we're recognizing enough in these situations. Because, and I don't, my husband was talking to me just yesterday, talking about, I believe it was Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. And this might have been an interview. Yeah. Oh, I mean, as soon as he opens his mouth, I'm like, okay, I have hope for the younger generation. Yeah. But I don't even know what the question was, but his response to the person that was interviewing him, basically, what are you doing with your money or something? And he's like, well, I'm, thinking about different ways that I can educate people on wealth generation. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, speak, young man. That is the message that needs to be a bigger conversation. And I have enough friends that are constantly and in that same battle with themselves, it's particularly women. Yeah. And I get frustrated, when I hear the shoulds, when I hear the can'ts, and they aren't going to let us, whoever the they is.
I've been looking for they since I was grown. I keep my kids from saying it. They are not responsible. They do not have a name. By the time you chase the rabbit hole down to they, you find yourself. Because that's you are they. You're the person that is holding you back. This world is the most prime you could have right now, because there's no limits. There's alteration around everything that you want to do. But you gotta have a made up mind. Now, what do we have to do to get you from here to a made up mind? Is where the work comes in. That's the life work. But once we get past that, it's gonna happen so fast for you that you're gonna have to believe it.
Yeah. You spend probably most of the work, the grunge is all of that internal piece, and then you unlock whatever the mind shift is. Yeah. And things start to come into place. You start to see it a lot differently. Like I say, the air smells different once you open your eyes to the possibilities. But you've been through your own journey. You had moments where you had to, do that internal work for yourself. So right now, this is your season, I assume. You got it all figured out, right?
No. No. So the internet is a lie. Let me just say that.
Okay, gotcha.
You never figure it out unless someone knows something I don't know. Okay. So yes, we have seasons, and I do believe any season can be your season. It's just the internet tells us that when we speak of seasons, we speak of profitable things, and we speak of money, and we speak of fame. A season bears fruit for many different things. So your season may be you actually figured out you. Your season may be that you figured out your health. You may have a health season. Your season could be financial. You figured out the business thing. So is it my season? Yes, but it's not my financial season. What my season I'm in right now is learning to trust. My season is living boldly, getting out of my own way, and choosing me. That's my season right now. I have lived, before I moved to Houston 7 years ago. I had never lived alone.
Really?
No, I went from
That's right, yeah.
So I bought a convertible, and I lived. And so now it's like, who do you live for? I could, even on my way here, subconsciously, I called my daughter, and she has a frown on her face. I was like, you know what? When I finish this, I'm on my way. And then in the midst of it, I was like, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's not my problem. I am living boldly for me, unapologetically. That's my season. I don't have it all figured out. I do have some things figured out, and now I have decided to be okay.
You're going to be okay. But that is the wisdom, understanding that you don't have all the answers, in that the process, the learning, the evolving, it just continues. And when it stops, you die.
You die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so while we're rushing to get to the answer and to be the man and to have it all figured out, we're rushing death. And so because perfect people die. Yeah. When you figured it all out, there's the only other step left, isn't it? And so that's why younger people are dying faster, because the internet is forcing them to get it all right now. We're getting Alzheimer's faster, dementia faster, all of the things that took forever. Kids are opening their eyes faster. Everything that's happening so fast is our disease.
That is something. And I even read an article very recently talking about some of the beauty things that the younger girls are doing, which they look good right now while that skin is young and tight and everything. But they said that some of these products are actually accelerating the aging process. So physically, all the things that we're doing to glow up, it's damaging some things. But, I'm still learning. I am, once I crossed 50, I actually started learning about makeup. And I tell people this all the time. If something is crooked or not right, just understand I'm like a 12-year-old learning how to stand in the mirror and say, I like this, or she's all right. It is an evolution to just be able to stand in whatever your space and be okay. Yeah. So that season that you're in, I mean, I get it. I can totally relate to that, because I have moments where I feel like, as a woman, as a Black woman, that I'm constantly shedding layers.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things, a lot of buffer that I would put between myself and other people, myself and the outside world, because I was afraid that the real me just wasn't enough. Yeah. And now I'm just like, well, not only is the real me enough, but I'm the only one that's got to like it.
And I'm so sick of measurements now. What is enough? Right?
Yes.
I am enough. Whatever it is composed inside of here is enough.
I hear you.
And the freedom that gives you is priceless. That there's nothing else. That once you've reached that thing where, I have short hair, or I have thin hair, and I have big thighs, and I have a big belly, whatever that is, it's on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we can realize that we're going to get our inspected in anyway, why not just live?
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of this. I have to give a lot of this credit to my daughter, because she teaches me human design. And once I realized my human design, and that I'm a responder, and that when I'm in my highest awakening and my highest self, how I'm supposed to feel, and when I'm working in my shadow, it makes it so much better. I can adjust really fast. So a lot of people stay in depression because they just don't know how to get out of the funk. We say that all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you learn your particular design and you realize that you get just some tools, you go to therapy, you figure these things out, you can shake it. You can just say, you know what? I don't have to choose that today. I don't have to choose that because it's raining outside. I don't have, to be honest, in the last 4 weeks, I had a car wreck. So I've been trying to figure out in my life why my body was doing these things. Right? So in 2022, July, I had my right over removed. In October, they said, hey, you got to get your left one removed. Okay, fine. I had a...
Wait. That's a big deal. You say, okay, yeah, all right, no.
So the crazy part for me was, I was like, how fast do I get back to the classroom?
Oh, so you didn't even want to process it. It was just like, this is a minor disruption.
Yeah, let me get back to the classroom.
Gotcha.
I had a partial hysterectomy in 2014, so it was like, okay, this is just another piece. So I started breaking out in hives. I started becoming allergic. I had asthma at 45. I was like, hey, where is all of this coming from? So I go to a holistic doctor who saved my life here, Dr. Sims. She does a panel on me. She figures these things out. And then I thought I had all fixed it. And then I started having other problems. Thought it was my gut. Go to see a colon doctor because they're thinking I have colon problems. And he does a scan of me and say, you have a tumor. You have a spot on your lung. You have a tumor. And the tumor is like this big. It's 9 centimeters. My whole life shifted in April. So he's like, hey, as soon as I can get an ER, I'm in OR. I'm going to get it out of there. We're going to figure out what it is. On my way to my pre-op, I get hit by a tow truck. Car totaled.
Okay.
So now I have to have this surgery. I have the surgery. I'm supposed to be in surgery at 1 o'clock. I don't have surgery until 8 p.m. And that's the day I had woke up. I was going to learn if I had cancer or not when I awakened. So imagine going under the knife and you wake up and I'm looking for my husband's face because I could tell based on what he looks like if I had cancer or not. Well, the doctor who was supposed to remove the ovary didn't remove all of it, and it grew a cluster of cysts that was there, and that's what the tumor was. So it was benign, but it threw me into menopause. So I can work, I can drive, and I'm on bed rest and have to sit up for 4 weeks. So life just started over for me. But I can approach it I can approach it a lot of ways. And I decided to say, I'm just gonna live. I'm just gonna live boldly. I'm gonna figure out Janelle. And I'm gonna find the things that I like, and I'm gonna do all of these things because all of that stuff we're chasing is not worth it.
Do you think in that moment, well, I'm sure you weren't thinking that in that moment. So you had all of these different health issues just sequentially, you're getting one blow after another, and then you're thinking, okay, I can still do my thing. Let's get this scheduled so I can get back to whatever I think is important. Then another, bump hits, and it's almost like there's more things that keep stopping you in your way because there was a very bold way of saying, hey, girl, it's time to stop and listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I say your season will reap something for you. It just, the internet has made us all believe it's financial. This season made me so trustworthy in God because I had to make up my mind that I was going to be okay whether I woke up with cancer.
Yeah.
I had to make up my mind that I had to cancel my classes and I had to literally just stop my whole career, and I was still going to be okay. And when that type of decision you can't do it lightly. You have to grow somewhere. You have to prosper in something. And I had to grow in my trust. And so when you get this season is about that. Now that next season may be financial, but I don't believe you can get to a financial season until you dealt with all of the rest of that.
Yeah.
Because when you look at those people on the internet, they're a emotional, personal mess. And eventually the mountain will fall. So no different than PD. Like you can have money, you can have a financial season, and then your whole life changes in a day.
Yeah, yeah.
So I say, when you become your best self, no matter what life brings us, it's our season.
That's your season. Was that a lesson you think for you to learn, or was it a lesson and a message to carry forward?
In my human design, I realized that I go through things for other people. And everything I'm supposed to mentally record and tell everyone. And so no different than when I went through my divorce. There was women just like me who have been in a controlling, a manipulative relationship. They made that choice, and you think you have to stay married for kids. You think you have to stay married for status. You have all of these ideas that you really made up to make yourself okay with it. I was the person who got divorced. So my friends were like, oh my God, how did you do it? I did it for y'all to show you that there was a reason why. I just didn't know it at the time. And me and God had a conversation. I realized, I go through these strangest things so that I can help someone else.
That's amazing.
So I have a gay daughter. and my daughter, I help people with that because people don't want to accept it. But I tell people all the time, God does not judge us for who we love. It's how you love. So you can damage a whole relationship with your kids because of who they choose to love, or you can teach them how to love, and no matter who they love them correctly.
That is true. It's love.
It's love. Love. At the end of the day, it's love. And love conquers a multitude of sins. Yeah. And love is the thing that we're supposed to do. So with all of the things I go through in life, I count it all joy because I know it's for somebody else.
Yeah. So I want to bring that back around to, as Black midlifers, I mean, like I said, we talk about the shoulds, the can'ts, and maybe that should be like a character, I need to put some type of persona to it, the shoulds and the can'ts. But I wonder if, there's people that are hearing this message right now and they're going to be like, okay, I need to talk to Janelle, I mean, is it just the real estate world where you're delivering these types of teachings? Are there regular people that could connect with you and get on this journey?
Crazy thing is I connect with more regular people than not. So I do a clubhouse where I have these type of conversations. I'm getting ready to start a group conversation. I don't want to call it a podcast, but I want to get like-minded women together and say, and young adults, it doesn't necessarily have to be women, but I have women problems. I'm a woman, so, but just let's have a round table. Yeah. Yeah. I want to have more round tables. I have masterminds that I invite people to, and we just sit down and we just talk and we just figure the thing out, because one of my main goals is to finish the story. That we see partial of it online. We have small bit pieces when we go to church, but nobody finishes the story. And I want you to get it all. Yeah. And so having a mastermind, having a round table, just getting it out and realizing that people have the same problems. But there's a good end. There's an expected end to this, and we can figure life out. We get back to being in love with life, because a lot of people are not in love with life.
Or they're not living life at all.
Or they're
sleepwalking from obligation to obligation, and not realizing that, okay, I actually have some control over this. I can make a choice. I can make a pivot and, to just step into that power altogether.
So I'm in a rebrand right now. I'm rebranding my coaching because.
Well, are we getting an exclusive? You're like, go tell the world right now?
Yeah, because I'm rebranding. So I went from just coaching real estate to coaching life. And so I wrote a whole new set of classes. I've been sitting at home for So I wrote a whole new set of classes, but more importantly, just learning that we can help people know more about them and figuring out that end. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So me and Josh are going to launch this thing, and July 1st, I'm going to just do that. I have made a decision that if it doesn't open me up and it doesn't give me a smile, I'm not doing it.
You will choose joy.
I will choose joy. And so that conversation is way more powerful and gives way more joy than real estate. Now, will I do real estate? Absolutely. Absolutely, because that's my gift. Yeah. But my purpose is helping people bring them joy and give them an expected.
I love that. I am very glad that I got a chance to talk to you about all this.
Thank you.
But I don't want to keep this just for me. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they sign up to work with you, or whatever new things that you got coming up?
So my website is ppcacademy.com, and they can reach me on Instagram at I am Janelle Compton. They can follow me on Facebook at Janelle Compton. And also they can follow my strategic coaching on Clubhouse.
Okay. All right. So a lot of different ways that people can get in touch with you. Yes. And for them to understand that they've got some work to do on themselves. Yeah. If they're signing up. This is not going to be, spoon-fed. You're basically saying, hey, here's my goal, but we've got a lot of internal work to do to get there.
But I will be a safe space.
All right. Yeah. We need that.
Yeah.
We need that.
I appreciate you. You're welcome.